Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's just finished. West Ham United 0, Arsenal 0 at the London Stadium. Gonzo, are you a happy hammer tonight?
I think I am, actually. Funnily enough, I think I am. I would have taken a draw beforehand. And if you remember earlier on, I said we got to expect this from Moyes. This is unsurprising. So I sort of bought into it. And towards the end, it became strangely entertaining from a sadistic sort of sense, if you know what I mean.
Do you find it entertaining, though, this sort of setup? The fact that we're playing sort of 5-3-2, it's very get the ball and boot it and hope one of the two strikers get on the end of it. But the flip side is we are very, very organised at the back. So do you find it entertaining?
No, I find it incredibly boring, but I just meant at the end it sort of got entertaining, if you know what I mean. I mean, you saw it with Allardyce the other day when Liverpool, I don't know if you saw that game, but Liverpool were really hammering them. I think Liverpool 1-0 up and they were hammering them. And what it was, one of the commentators said at the time, I know we're digressing, but it sort of mirrors what Moyes is doing. One of the commentators saying, well, Everton have got no option but to come out now. They're 1-0 down. They've got to attack. And I thought to myself, well, you don't know Allardyce very well at all because he's just going to still be in the game. He's still at the game, 1-0 down, and it only takes a corner or anything like that. And that's what we're going to see with Moyes. Is it entertaining? No. But does it keep us in with a shout at games? Yes. And there's no way we deserve to win that game, but we very nearly did.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think we deserve to lose it either. Well, it's not entertaining. It's something you can admire. It's something that gives you confidence. You know you're not going to get thumped anymore. And when you do get thumped, it's going to be rare. You can probably write it off and move on to the next game pretty quickly. When it does happen, it will happen. Whereas before, it was sort of, oh, when's our next defeat where we don't get beat by more than 2 coming from? But so entertaining, is it easy on the eye? Absolutely not. But I'll tell you what, we played exactly the same way as we did against Chelsea, and I found that entertaining simply because we scored early and we were winning. So the crowd could shout "Ole" every time we passed the ball. When Masuaku did do a turn, everyone could cheer and stuff because you were winning. And it's only slightly a little bit less entertaining because it's a draw. But it's needs must, and I don't think many people will be walking away from that disappointed with the result. But let's talk about the game. Not much to talk about. We'll talk about it anyway. Arnautovic got his offside goal. The one time Masuaku finally beats his first man for a cross, he's offside. But until then, were you surprised? I was actually surprised at our lack of intensity for that first 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, I think I wrote on a forum, I think it's going to be a long night, because they started attacking from the off. And it's like you said in the previous game against Chelsea, we scored a goal and we backed off. We just put everyone in our own area and just defended. We seem to do that, as you say, from the off today. I don't know whether that was intensity or anything else. I don't know if everybody's bought into these new Moyes tactics to such an extent that they'd almost just accepted, you know what, we are just going to defend. Having said that, when I saw the Arsenal lineup, even though we'd done the preview, it did worry me because they've got some really good creative players in there. And when you saw Wilshere and Giroud in there alongside Ozil and Sanchez, you can sort of understand why they sat back. But it was, yeah, I wasn't fancying us after I'd seen the first 10 minutes that you were talking of.
I think the big difference between the two games is Arsenal played 4 at the back, so that meant they had an extra man in midfield, which meant someone had to be watching him. And there was Chelsea only had 3 at the back, if you like. So that sort of they had one less option to play out from the back. Whereas tonight Arsenal had that. And you could see Antonio and Arnautovic when the fullbacks got the ball for Arsenal, they were looking, going, "Do I go get him or do I leave him to ball on?" type thing. Then in 28th minute, Iwobi hit the post for Arsenal with their first real chance of the game, and then Lanzini got brought down. I don't think it was a pair. I'm not going to discuss it with Gonzo. I think it would have been very harsh. I think Lanzini was probably, if he had an extra yard, he would have went past Xhaka, but he didn't, and it was arguably good defended away. If that happened at the other end, there would be no way I'd be saying that's a penalty to concede. Half-time, 0-0, Gonzo. What were your thoughts at half-time?
I thought we'd done well to get there. I think I was sort of strangely relieved. It was, whilst it wasn't particularly entertaining, you always felt that we were in the game because Arnautovic seemed in such good form in the way that Masuaku was doing really well in the Chelsea game. Arnautovic was giving us that. I still felt, perhaps naively, that we were getting at half-time and Moyes would maybe change something up a little bit because I wasn't entirely happy with Antonio's role next to Arnautovic, and in many respects, Arnautovic found himself in that game at centre forward a number of times. So, yeah, but I was happy to be in at 0-0, and I did think he would change it up, and we would maybe get into the game.
It's just it's hard to be critical after we've just got 4 points against Chelsea and Arsenal. But it's just a frustration, his lack of substitutions. He didn't make his first sub until the 81st minute. Now, to me, I thought Antonio looked knackered in the first half. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If a guy is knackered because he's been running around, then that's fine. That's what you have 3 subs for. But when you've got Ayew, Hernandez, Carroll to an extent, and Sacco on the bench, I just find it baffling that he didn't say at halftime, right, Antonio, off you come. Because Arsenal were coping with Arnautovic and Antonio. I think they were coping. They knew what to do. Every time the ball went long, they dropped off and said, well, we're not going to give you any space behind us. We'll just play in front of our own 18-yarder. Because that suits Arsenal. Because if Antonio and Arnautovic came up to their 18-yarder, that gives a huge, huge space in that middle of the pitch for the likes of Wilshere and Xhaka to drop in and get the ball from their feet and turn around and run our midfield. I just felt it wasn't really working to an extent. I was disappointed when I took Antonio off. But the second half, no changes by either side. I'll tell you what, though, for the first 10 minutes of that second half, that's when Arsenal had to score. I thought they were all over us for that first 10 minutes. And that's when I was thinking, come on, boys, make a sub.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I sort of looked at, I think you said first 10 minutes, I certainly remember looking at 60 minutes, early 60 minutes, 61, 62, and thinking how frequently Antonio was conceding possession because he was knackered, but also Lanzini as well. And I thought there was, a good opportunity at that point to take Antonio and Lanzini off and then change it around, maybe do something with the shape. But I think that is a frustration we are going to have with Moyes. That does seem to be the case. He does seem to be reluctant to make substitutions. Maybe when he gets 2 or 3 more players in that he likes in the transfer window, if he does get 2 or 3 more players in, then he might have people on the bench that he's more than happy to bring on. But you certainly thought he was reluctant to bring Sacco on in the previous games. I certainly felt he was reluctant to bring Chicharito on in today's game. So maybe just needs a few more players that he trusts. But he doesn't react quickly. He doesn't react quickly.
Yeah, he did change it in some way because Antonio was right wing in the second half, whereas in the first half he was up. So he sort of went a bit more defensive. Arsenal's closest they came is when Sanchez had a free kick. Nice free kick, good save by Adrian. Arguably, Joe Hart's weakest spot, low to his left. Joe Hart doesn't like those areas. 81st minute, first sub. Cheers, Moyes. Antonio come off for Hernandez, and what a sub it almost was in the last minute. I've seen the goal line technology. The ball's not even touching the lines. It's a few inches away. But, is it disappointing we didn't play with that? Because that's when we got in their face, right? At the last few minutes there, Noble and Lanzini was up in their face and making them try and play it across the back. And we nicked the ball. Nice little play. Hernandez hit the ball down off the line nearly. But would that have been an undeserved winner?
It would have done, but we'll take an undeserved winner, wouldn't we? Let's be fair. And Noble had driven in really well at that point. And I mean, I think Noble had good energy levels today. So he really he didn't seem to be blowing much towards the end. If you wanted anyone in the squad to have that chance in our squad, it would have been Hernandez. There's no doubt about it. Maybe he was just so desperate to score. He didn't thrash it. He very much bent it, tried to bend it and curl it round. It smacked the woodwork. I think the goal's still shaking now, probably. And yeah, we did show a bit of ambition towards the end, which is why I said it was an exciting finale. It did get excited towards the end, and the missus ran in. So what's going on? What's going on? Because I sort of screamed when he hit the bar. So yeah, it was. We will look back tomorrow and think this is a good result. These were the run of results that we were fearing. The Man City, the Chelsea, and the Arsenal. And not only have we come out with 4 points, actually we've come out with our pride intact and more confident than when we went in. And I think that's the key. You would think we were going to be absolutely battered. Actually, we're not. And I think we go into the weekend's game with a lot of confidence, actually. And of course, the great irony that Marko Arnautovic looks to be in fine form, going to play against these former club who are struggling. Yeah,
I have to agree. I mean, 0 goal difference as well from those 3 games. We're on 1 lost when the goal difference is 0. So to come out of the 0 goal difference is quite an achievement in itself. Never mind getting 4 points. Let's talk about a few players then. He started up front, like you said, man of match on Saturday. From some people didn't. Don't tell me that. We'll keep it till the end. It's normal. But what about our record signing then? I mean, you were to be convinced of him a month ago. Are you convinced yet?
Yeah, I mean, what I was unconvinced about in particular was his discipline as well. And there was a moment today with Xhaka, and I just thought, hold on, don't lose it, mate, don't lose it. Um, that aside, he certainly does have ability. He's quicker than I thought he was as well because he's a big lump, but he's got a trick. He's got good technique. He clearly has a good shot on him, and he does have a trick. So if he has been tightly marked, he's got that thing, that thing that he does where he sort of flicks it with a back heel and then sort of steps it. I can't describe it. You know what I mean? He's done it 2 or 3 times today. It's a good trick. And what I think Moyes, this is not a huge surprise that Moyes would like him, because Moyes traditionally likes to play with a big number 10. If you like, that's what he's, or someone's good in the air, be it Cahill or Fellaini. And I think he suits that role. He's given you an option to play it nicely on the deck, and he can receive it well with his feet. Or if you want to put it up high, as we saw with the offside goal, then he can also give the centre backs trouble in the air. Very, very good performance from today. I'm very excited by it, actually.
I have to say, here's one thing that surprised me. I always knew he had the talent. The questions were about his consistency. We're still to see that. I think he's done it for 2 or 3 games. We've got to see if he can still do it for another 2 or 3. The one thing I am surprised about is his energy levels. That 90th minute there, he was the one that was still bombing about the pitch. And this is what Antonio was for us when he first joined. Now Antonio is knackered after half time, an hour mark. But Arnautovic is still bombing it about that. He's really, really impressed me, actually. And sometimes I'm trying to remember this is Arsenal, because sometimes you do watch him and you think, will someone get up and help him? Will someone just get up? Because against Chelsea, that's what we were doing in that first 10 minutes. Arnautovic would go, Antonio, Lanzini, Masuaku, they'll follow him. Tonight, we didn't really do that. And I don't know if it was a case of we've won against Saturday, a point's enough tonight. I think if we got a point on Saturday, they might have went for the win tonight, thinking 1 point out of these 3 games is okay, but it's not great. So because we had the win, they sort of thought, well, 4 points is fantastic, so let's just keep it. But how impressed are you with our defence? In particular, Alan Creswell. While all 5 of them are doing well, one of them is playing a role which, to my knowledge, he's never played before until the last 2 games.
No, and fair play to him and fair play to Moyes for doing it. I'm surprised. I think we're all surprised as he's managed to find a position that suits both him and Masuaku. But also, I mean, there was a point in the first half where, call the position what you will. You can call it the left of 3 centre-backs if you want, whatever. Give it a label if that's what you want. But there was a point where, actually, in the first half, where during play, not at a set play, during open play, he overlapped Masuaku and was almost by the touchline. And the ball, I think the ball just went out of play, and they got a goal kick from it. So there's some sort of freedom there within that. It's going to be very interesting to see how this Moyes system works against lesser teams. So you can't play Stoke and sit back like we have done in our last 2 games. That's for sure. Something else needs to happen. Maybe that's when we'll see some other stuff. But yeah, Aaron Cresswell, to answer your question, very, very impressed with him. And you say about defence, Ogbonna seems to be growing. Ogbonna had a nervousness about him, always has done, whilst I think he's got the attributes to be a good centre-back. He's quick, he's good in the air, as we know. There was a nervousness about him. He's starting to look a little bit more solid. Moyes seems to be drilling a unit there, and he is. I thought Reed was superb against Chelsea, by the way, absolutely superb. But today, Ogbonna was mightily impressive.
Well, let's start rounding this one up then. What's your final thoughts on the game? Is there anything you're really happy about that we haven't discussed, or anything that you're a bit wary of going into our next game against Stoke?
Okay, I'm happy that David Moyes has got his formation down, that the players sort of know their roles. I'm also happy that, as you've seen with Joe Hart or Andy Carroll, that he is happy to have a look at somebody and drop someone if they're not performing, which brings us back to what you said about Arnautovic and his work rate. I think with Moyes, you're going to have to work hard, otherwise you're not going to be in the team. That's very, very pleasing. Things I'll be keeping my eye on. I'll be maybe keeping an eye on Antonio's fitness levels, because I just wonder if he is carrying an illness or an injury, because that's not the Antonio that I know. There was a point in that second half where I think he just took a shot because he was knackered. He just took a really long shot because he was knackered, and it skimmed. It did nothing. It was a nothing shot. You remember the one. Lanzini, I think, as you've alluded to in the past couple of ones, I know you're not sure that Moyes can find his best position. Maybe we'll have to look at that in these games coming up where he'll have to play a bit more expansively. But I mean, and I think Mark Noble last 2 games has has showed he should probably be in the team ahead of Kiate, who I thought was pressing for was doing well on his fitness this week as well. So there's lots and lots to be positive about. Let's just see if we can turn this defensive solidity into some goals against the teams that aren't, European teams, if you like.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Mark Noble, at the weekend, he'd covered the most ground at the weekend. He'd covered the most ground in the Premier League. I expect him to be at the top again after the fixtures tonight and last night. I know he was in the first half tonight. He ran the most out of everybody on the pitch in the first half tonight. I'll be surprised if he's not near the top again for the Premier League. He was superb. That pass he did with his chest. Oh, yes. I'll do that again. More and more, please. And it was also his pass for Hernandez. The weight on it was perfect. Hernandez didn't have to take a touch, and that shows how good Mark Noble's pass was. He slit it in, just beautifully paced for him. Hernandez could wrap his foot around it. It's superb. The one thing that I liked tonight, which is strange, I liked little things. We took a goal kick tonight and passed out along the floor. There's a lot of things like that. I don't like seeing us boot the ball down the middle of the pitch for goal kick after goal kick. I just think you're giving the possession. We've got possession. When you boot it, you're turning it into a 50-50 battle, and that's assuming your goal kick's accurate. I just never understood why especially when you've got three centre-backs, that gives you options, why they don't move. And tonight, Creswell did it. Creswell dropped all the way back and took the goal kick to his feet, gave it out to Masuaku, who went down the line. I thought, well, look at that. 2 touches, and we're all in the opposition's half with the ball on the floor. If we can have more of that against teams like Stoke, etc., it will pay off. But there's one guy I thought was man of the match tonight. We'll do that in a second, but we're going to talk about one player quickly, and he doesn't play for West Ham. I think he was the man of the match tonight. We're linked with him in January, so let's discuss him. What do you make of Jack Wilshere tonight?
Well, I mean, he played as you'd have wanted Lanzini to play today in many respects. I've been a fan of Wilshere for a long time. It's the type of player I really like. Low centre of gravity, pass and move, awareness. Would have scored if it had fallen onto his left foot when he had that chance, I'd imagine as well. Runs a game, dictates a tempo. There were times at the end when we were under pressure and we couldn't keep the ball. Lanzini was losing the ball. I don't want to dig him out particularly. Everyone knows I'm a fan of Lanzini. That's fine. He had a bad game today. But there's people like Obiang and others in the team are also losing the ball. If we had Wilshere in the team, we'd be retaining a lot more of the ball. Right, I think it was midway into the second half. He still had a 100% pass completion rate. That's immense considering how much possession Arsenal had. It's not like making 5 passes and having 100% completion rate. He was passing all day, give and go, head up when he passes, moves, drip, and elegance to it. I've wanted him for a long time, and I would love to think that was more than just speculation that we're linked with him.
He looked world class out there tonight. World class. I don't know. I didn't look it up. I should have. I think he's probably the most fouled player on that pitch. The amount of times he turned Obiang or Noble or something, he just turned. Then he was away facing our defence. I think we're lucky Lacazette didn't start, because I think Wilshere with Lacazette would have caused us trouble. But they for some reason, Wenger put the target man and put the nippy little number 10 in, who's got his head up looking for the run, and Giroud standing still. So it suited us. I think he got that wrong. But I thought he was magnificent in the middle of that pitch and caused us trouble. Let's see what January brings. But I tell you what, if he plays like that, I think he'll get a new contract at Arsenal very, very soon. I think he'll be starting. But man of match time then. Who are you going to give it to, Gonzo? You can pick out anyone you want. Okay,
I'm actually going to, believe it or not, and a big praise to Arnautovic. Big praise to Arnautovic. I think he's done fantastic today. Really, really good. But I'm going to give it to Mark Noble, actually. I thought Mark Noble was absolutely outstanding today. Really outstanding. Easy to give it to Arnautovic, and he probably deserves it. Arnautovic does, but for all that stuff that we discussed, but there were certain things, and I'm not talking about that chest pass or the thing to Cresswell, he'd impressed me before that Noble. There is a reason that Noble played under Alan Pardew. There is a reason that he played under Zola. There's a reason he played under Allardyce and blah, 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 blah. Clearly, these are all professional football managers. They all know something, and everybody keeps picking him. I'm not saying he's the world's best player, but for West Ham, he does us absolutely proud. And when it's back to the wall stuff, which it is, and he has an understanding of what important games are and what derbies are, he has never found wanting in Mark Noble for me today.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like there was in the second half, he almost got caught short with it, but he got the ball. I don't know if he won it or he got given the ball, and he wiggled up the right side a little bit, and there's 2 or 3 people around him. He's not the fastest bloke in the world. He's not the strongest. He turned around, he flicked all the way back to the keeper, and he almost got caught out with it. But that 2 or 3 seconds that allows the defence to push off is crucial, because the amount of times other players get the ball and they just boot it and it comes straight back at us. But Mark Noble just holds it up and he just kills for 2 or 3 seconds. But the man of match I'm going for, I was hoping you were going to do Arnautovic, because I think he almost deserves it, but I'm not giving it to him either. I'm going to go Ogbonna. I thought he was just fantastic. He did the most clearances on the pitch. I think he's done 11. The next best is 7. I think he's done one of the most interceptions. He's up there with tackles, up there with headers. He was superb tonight. And fun fact, Giroud scored 6 and 8 against West Ham. That's 3 games now Ogbonna's played, and he's still not scored while Ogbonna's been on the pitch. He knows how to play against players like that. Ogbonna's my man, absolutely superb. But anyway, Gonzo, is there anything else you would like to add?
Only that, no, so nobody leaves any comments. Neither myself or Geo was slagging Arnautovic off. He was outstanding today, and Arnautovic deserves a glass of that bubbly. I certainly think so. But I'm pleased, and we do you know what? We get the next few days, we get the rest of the week, and we get to enjoy the rest of the week and go into the Stoke game with a bit of confidence. That's a nightmare run over. Let's hope we are not West Ham. West Ham traditionally do well against. We've been known to do well against the big teams, and then lose against the Dog and Duck at the weekend. Let's hope this steal carries on and we get a result against Stoke, but I'm happy.
Indeed, it was 0-0 tonight after beating Chelsea as Sarri, so it's 4 points in the big 3 games. We go from the nice to wins to the must wins as we take on Stoke Sarri. You can join us on our preview tomorrow night. That's Thursday at 8:30 as usual. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. Put your comments below what you thought of the game and who you're giving the man of the match to. That's been Gonzo. I've been Joe. We've been Hammers Chat. Drop a subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you tomorrow night.